And we are live. I want to thank our live viewers. We're going to be recording here in just a few seconds, episode 295 of the Polite Society podcast. I want to thank our advertisers, ABN Army Surplus. We are set up here live again today at ABN. We're also advertised by and sponsored by Concealment Solutions, Crusader Weaponry, New Jersey Second Amendment Society, and the Firearms Safety Institute, as well as the Firearms Policy Coalition. I want to mention to our viewers, if you like, you can always hit the Q&A app on the Google Plus Hangout or on YouTube, and that goes straight into the broadcast. We pick it up here, and we will answer your question on the air, or you can always comment on YouTube, and as long as we're still live when we get it, I get it through email, and we'll answer it on the air as well. That one does take a little while for us to catch, whereas the Q&A is immediate. So, all right, I think we are just about ready to fly. Are we ready to cut this intro?
I'm ready.
Rob, you ready to go?
Sure.
And Gary's ready because I say he is.
Did anybody took off all this? Okay, I took off all my headgear and facial hair.
Yeah, I don't care. We love you the way you are.
Here we go. Hi, and welcome to the Polite Society podcast, presented by the Firearms Policy Coalition. This one's recorded live Sunday, December 21st, 2014, winter solstice. We only get longer days from here. I'm Paul Lathrop.
I'm John Richardson, and we'll talk about police officers shot in the line of duty.
I'm Rob Morse, and we report on another store clerk who defended himself in an armed robbery. These store clerks are becoming veteran gunfighters.
And I'm Gary Doherty, and we'll cover the mugging of Rahm Emanuel's son in Chicago. So climb aboard.
Strap in.
And hang on.
Episode 295 of the Polite Society podcast starts right now. And welcome back. This is our personal news segment of the show. I guess we'll do like I normally do. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way along the screen, looking at the faces and find out what's been up with everybody. Gary Doherty, man, what's been up with you since last time you've been on the air?
Well, as soon as we wrap this show, I'm going to be packing up my microphone and heading to Texas to spend the holidays with my parents and my sister down there. So I've been kind of scrambling, getting ready for all of that, Christmas and shopping, and yesterday I bought a car, so that took up a lot of my time. So I not a lot of gun stuff, but
that's a heck of a Christmas gift.
I love myself. I'll admit it.
What kind of car did you get, man?
2011 Cadillac Escalade.
Ooh, going high dollar on us.
Well, I mean, I had an Avalanche. I just needed. Here's the thing. I made a promise to myself that when I quit smoking, I was going to buy a Mercedes sports car, little two-door convertible, da-da-da. And I found one that I totally fell in love with. Twin turbo, big, super fast. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that I've become quite a prepper. And a low-to-the-ground Mercedes sports car is really not a prepper car. But I am a big guy and I need something, so I had 2 Avalanches in a row. I loved them, and really never got the usage out of the that extra bed capability. So I was looking at the Cadillacs and found a great deal on one with 30,000 miles, and bought it.
Okay. Very cool. Looks like next on my list of faces down there is John. What's been up with you, man?
Well, I added a Swiss Schmidt-Rubin 1896/11 straight pull rifle to my collection. I first heard about this rifle in a discussion by Ian McCullum on the Gun Nation podcast, and I've got to say those Swiss soldiers must be stout fellows. This rifle weighs 10 pounds and has a 30.5-inch barrel.
Whoa.
Does it come with elevation sights because it's artillery? My God.
Oh, the sights are graduated up to 2,000 yards.
Holy smokes!
Supposedly they're very accurate, but I haven't had a chance to try it out yet. According to Ian, he was hitting a gong at 300 yards with iron sights very regularly. So,
wow, 2,000 yards. That's well over a mile.
Yeah, pretty much a nautical mile.
Yeah, almost a mile and a half. Holy smoke!
Huh.
That's wow.
there are long distances in the Alps, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
from mountaintop to mountaintop.
Airmail to Germany? What? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know very little about long guns. Is that like a 30 caliber range?
Yes.
It is a 7.5 by 55 or 7.5 Swiss, so more or less 30 caliber.
Right. Okay, cool.
And actually, the best ammo available for it is surplus Swiss ammo that's still available. They had phenomenal. They practice all the time in all the little towns and all the little cantons, and I mean most towns have their own range, and they make the ammo available, and it's good stuff.
Cool.
We need to
Awesome.
move to Switzerland.
I'm telling you. Looks like next on my list of faces is Rob. What's been up with you, man?
I practice, nothing else. I meant to donate to Regis Giles' movie, but haven't done that yet. Close doesn't count. Got to do that next.
Okay. All right. Well, we're done with faces, so it looks like I get to look across the table and see what's up with my sweetheart. What have you been up to since the last time you were on the air, Susan?
A little dry fire, little working, getting stuff ready to go for SHOT Show. Still working on bleeps, bloopers, and outtakes.
Huh.
That has been very interesting. That's about it.
How's the pickup truck coming? Has that come back yet?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
she
good.
no longer has to slide across the seat.
Huh.
Yeah. By the time we got the final bill and handed it into the insurance company, they were originally thinking it would be about $1,800. The final total on the bill was almost $2,500.
Ouch. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But it's fixed. It works fine now. Loving it. Can actually open and shut the passenger door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can drive without that massive. There was a gap of a good inch in the top of the passenger side door, and you can drive without that. I mean, it got very uncomfortable when it got very cold outside because I don't care how much you got your heat blasting, that cool breeze comes in, whips around the cab, and hits you in the back of the neck.
Oh yeah, sure.
So about the same story with me. I was just to let the listeners know, last week, of course, you knew I was, because of the horrible audio quality, I was on the road and trying to connect with my cell phone. That won't happen again. I'm going to actually take the laptop out with me for a while. But been covering a run that my boss needed covered because a driver broke his leg, and it's really hard to drive a truck with a broken leg. You just can't do it, especially your left leg, which is the one that was broke. You cannot press an 80-pound clutch with a leg in a cast. So they've got other people covering it, and it looks like I get to cover it for the next several weeks till SHOT Show. So this is actually going to be the last show we do at ABN for a while. We'll come back to doing these after SHOT Show, but for the next several weeks until we go to SHOT Show, I'm going to be covering that. And just been doing nothing really specifically gun-related, doing some dry fire, getting ready to go to SHOT Show, doing a lot of looking at who's going to be there, what's going to be the stuff I want to check out, and that kind of stuff. And we started recording the audiobook, started recording R.P. Ruggiero's Brushfire Plague, got the first chapter down the other night, and I realized, I've always been told I've got an excellent speaking voice. However, speaking and reading aloud are two different things. And one thing when you're reading an audiobook is you have to read it word for word. And I get going, and I would read, and I'm very good at reading and talking. I can do that. However, I don't always say things exactly as they appear on the screen. My brain just gets going too quickly, and my mouth gets slipping gears, and they come out very similar but not right. Well, I have Susan doing the job of directing. She's kind of following along, and she'll stop me and make sure that I'm doing things right. Well, we got to one passage towards the end of chapter 1, and the book was talking about stuff coming off the radio, so I immediately slip into my radio announcer voice. I start talking a little quickly, and I start reading what's going on, and every time I get caught near the end of this passage. And there was a real interesting blooper that I don't think we're going to ever allow out, but it took about a good 30 minutes of retakes just to get really 3 or 4 sentences out.
Yeah, when you get stuck on those spots, you really need to mark up your script. Go ahead and grab a pencil and underline it. Make yourself a note so you know to concentrate there.
What I'm actually reading is a Kindle book. So unless I want to put marker on my laptop screen.
Well, I don't know. My Kindle app on my iPad does highlighting and stuff, so you might be able to mark it up that way.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. We're past that now, so we're gonna move on to the next blooper.
Yeah, exactly. So, and just sitting down here, we haven't been here in a while. Gary Harpster, man, what's been up with you? No, you're not.
Hey, everybody. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yeah, this one actually should be coming out Christmas Eve. Yeah,
Christmas Eve. All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I just finished my Christmas with my family. I just got back. I took 5 days off, and they're the first time I've been off since August. It's the only days I haven't been in the store since August, so it was kind of nice. I did one of those embarrassing things with my little baby nieces. I climbed into my pajamas on Sunday, and I did not climb out of my pajamas until Tuesday. And I had never seen that.
Okay.
Usually when I go up to the cities, I run around like a madman trying to catch up with coffee with all my friends and stuff like that. And this time I just thought, I'm just going to spend it with my nieces. And so we just watched kids' movies and did all that kind of stuff. So it was very nice, very enjoyable, very relaxing. Enjoyed it. Fantastic. So, and to all of our podcast listeners, I really do hope they have an absolutely wonderful Merry Christmas and a good holiday season.
I'd like to echo that myself.
Well, I was going to ask you, Gary, I noticed over your left shoulder those shelves are way more packed than they were last time we saw you. What the heck is all that stuff?
Yeah, well, we have been just bringing in stuff and bringing in stuff and bringing in stuff. As all of you know, because we're all going to be at the same place, the SHOT Show. The SHOT Show and our buyer show run consecutively. So I am gone a good portion of January. So about this time of year is when we make our last orders, which we did just within the last couple of weeks. We cannot order again until the end of January, first part of February. All the prices change. Most companies that our podcast listeners are familiar with, Rothco, Fox Tactical, self-defense, that kind of thing, they will drop about 15 to 20% of their inventory. The stuff that hasn't sold much in the last 2 years will now not be in the 2015 catalog, and more products will be in. So this is the time of year, the first 2 weeks of December, when we're filling up both for the Christmas and the winter season, and then we'll go 5 to 6 weeks now without ordering any product at all. So until we get the new prices and the new catalogs.
Sure.
I want to say one thing here, and Paul doesn't know I'm going to do this. I want to hear from the listeners. I have received an invitation from Laser Max to attend the Women's Outdoor and Shooting Industry Dinner at SHOT Show. It is a very exclusive event from what I hear. Do you guys think I should go or not? So somebody also posted on the podcast page. So I just like a little listener feedback as to whether you guys think I should go or not. Okay? Okay.
All
There you
right.
go.
All right. Well, we are going to go ahead and step off to break here. We've got a ton of news, and we will start covering that when we come back right after this. And we're clear.
I need a quick bio break. I'll be right back.
Bio break. Cool.
I think we're going to do today what we did the last several times here set up. We'll just do your live ad just when we start doing the prepper segment.
Works.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Hi, everybody. How you all been?
Doing all right.
Good. Rob, you
Ray-
been doing?
Rachel was going to be here, but she came down with a sore throat this
Okay,
morning.
I did see that message on there as well. So, Rob, how have you been?
Good.
Good. Christmas season all getting ready for you?
I have some shopping yet to do. My daughter's out of the hospital. We get to have her home. That's good.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Good. And Gary, things in Chicago going okay?
Yeah, you weren't in. I just bought a car yesterday. So
Oh,
He went and went high dollar on us, man.
oh really? What'd you buy?
Escalade.
Holy crap, oh, a new one?
Well, here, I didn't talk about it earlier, but my roommate just got an $8,000 bill on his truck. My truck was out of warranty in April, and it's got 120,000 miles on it, which scared the heck out of me. So I went ahead and bought a 30,000-mile truck instead of...
120,000 miles.
Yeah, so I'm happy about that. My 2 cents, Susan, you should definitely go. 100%.
I'm with Gary on that. Did you hear that Bill Engvall is going to be replacing
Yes.
Jay Leno?
Well, I like that idea.
Yeah, he's
suppose-
good.
Yeah, I like Bill Enmo.
I'm not going to pay the couple $100 to go see the.
Well, no.
You know.
Regardless. Yeah.
All right, we ready to kick off news? We got a comment on YouTube that I want to cover before I'm going to bring us in, cover that YouTube comment, and then I'll throw to you to read. Okay, Susan?
Okay.
Everybody ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Hey, and welcome back. Before we get started with news, we got a comment on the YouTube. Mr. Fat says it's good to watch you today. I have not watched a live one in about 5 months. What's wrong, man? Come on. It's good to see you, Rob. Who all is going to Nashville to the NRA show next year? I might. I'm trying to make it work. I'm not going to promise anything. April is going to be. We're starting to gear up for training next year, so I might not. Depends on how finances go and how time is going.
When is the NRA show?
Second or third week in April.
Well, that's why I never go. Oh,
Mid-April this year, I think. For me, it's a given. It's a 5-hour drive. I'm there.
Yeah.
that's why I always look at it, but it always conflicts with a couple of the shows we do here in the Upper Midwest that we do year after year. So, bummer.
Yes, I'm going to go. No, I don't know where I'm going to stay. The lodging will already be so far out of town that I'll have to get a car. So, all right.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
I was going to say by now you might want to get a room like at John's place.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
I haven't gotten a room for shot yet. So,
Ooh.
I have a solution for that. I talked about it before.
what's that?
If you want to share a suite at the Venetian with somebody, another instructor friend of mine.
Oh, that's gonna be.
Well,
something.
okay, we'll talk later.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and step off to news. Then we've got a ton of it. Susan, what do we got leading off?
We want to lead off today's news segment on a bit of a sad note. Over the last 24 hours, 3 police officers have lost their lives while performing their jobs. 2 officers in New York City were murdered execution style on Saturday. Officers Wenjun Liu and Rafael Ramos lost their lives when a thug ambushed them and murdered them execution style. Both officers were struck in the head and died from their wounds. The murderer was 28-year-old Ismail Abdullah Brinsley. The murderer took his own life when police approached him as he fled. He had previously posted threats against police on social media. Meanwhile, in Tarpon Springs, Florida, Officer Charles Condek was killed in the line of duty Sunday morning. We've always been pro-law enforcement here and will continue to be so. Policing is a difficult job that is largely thankless. We'd like to offer our condolences to the families and to all law enforcement officers everywhere.
I would add to the condolences, but I'd also like to point out that, as may be expected, the anti-gun activists, for some odd and unknown reason, are blaming these shootings on the NRA, as if that makes any sort of sense.
It doesn't.
John, I have to disagree with you. There's blame being thrown all over. The NAACP put out a press release today that says the killings of the 2 New York Police Department officers is just, quote, a stark example of the need for more sensible gun control measures, close quote. They forgot to name the NRA by name, but yeah. Also, I thought it was interesting, Susan, as Mayor de Blasio and a bunch of New York City staff went through the hospital where the 2 officers were pronounced dead, the cops turned their backs on him and faced away from him as he walked through the corridors.
I saw that. That was pretty powerful contribution of de Blasio.
Yeah, not a lot of love lost there.
No.
No neighborhood is safe in Chicago. Yesterday evening, Mayor Emanuel's son, Zach, was assaulted in a robbery during which his phone was stolen, Kelly Quinn said. Quote, he sustained injuries that required medical treatment. 2 people approached the teenager from behind as he was walking and talking on his cell phone. One of the assailants placed his arm around the victim's neck in a bear chokehold. Close quote. Then the other attacker punched Zach Emanuel in the face, knocking him to the ground, the report said. According to the police, the teenager dropped his phone and his attackers took it, then patted him down and asked, "What else you got?" They forced him to enter a security code to unlock the phone and ran off.
I hate to be crass here, but I wonder if he told his attackers, "I can't breathe." Sorry, it may have been poor taste, but...
Well, this is in a city where much of the populace are unarmed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like Susan said at the beginning of the story, there is no safe neighborhood. If somebody's looking to go rob somebody, they're not going to go to the poorest section of town.
And even added like that in something else, Mayor Emanuel has a security detail that I'm sure was at his house at the time.
All right. Yeah.
I do not. I don't know how. I'm assuming his son is a minor. I'm not,
17-year-old?
17.
Yeah. Now, if in my opinion only, at 17 years old, most, not all, and it would be individual decision because by parents, I would say most 17-year-olds could handle the responsibility of carrying concealed. Now, is that going to happen anywhere in the United States anytime in the near future? Heck no. But I believe most 17-year-olds could handle that responsibility with proper training.
Well, yeah, but something that struck me as you were talking about being a concealed carry holder, except for Rob, who's prohibited by law, the rest of us have taken additional training in addition to our concealed carry licensing class or whatever was necessary. And I know in my classes, in Mag 40, which we've been through, situational awareness is something that's covered and something that is certainly enhanced in all concealed carry holders because they're aware of the fact that there's a gun in the area because they're carrying one. So it's interesting that in a disarmed city like Chicago, mostly disarmed, people run around oblivious and not situationally aware. So it's more than just carrying a gun. There's more to being a concealed carry holder than just strapping one on.
Certainly there is. Certainly there is.
Yeah.
But with the training comes, like you said, when you get training, I don't know of anybody that, well, I suppose there are some pretty awful trainers out there, but the vast majority of trainers, the first thing they go to, the first thing they talk about is situational awareness. Well, the very first thing they talk about is safety, but before you ever get into, in every class I've ever taken, before we got into the shooting portion, we started talking about situational awareness.
100%.
Yeah, I want to add on to what Gary was saying. Teaching on a college campus, which is a gun-free zone, it is amazing to me how many students walk around with either their heads down texting, walking with both the ears plugged, essentially, listening to the music or whatever. But how many kids, students, just go along in total with no situational awareness, impaired situational awareness at best.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that in a head in the sand society, which the people who want more gun control and think that's going to make them safer, they have their heads in the sand and they are not aware of their life. And I just think that once you become an armed citizen, you do become more aware of those things. So
I would agree.
Yeah. What do you got, Susan?
There's a special kind of stupid that they say for New Jersey politicians. Marcus Hubbard and 3 other men were in a car that ran a red light in Trenton, New Jersey. A policeman pulled them over. The cops found a stolen handgun in a seat back pocket and a prescription bottle of codeine. All 4 men in the car were charged after none of them took responsibility for the items. There is one additional item of interest. Marcus Hubbard can barely stand and has no use of his arms. He wasn't driving the car since he injured his spine in a car accident months earlier. He may also have Lou Gehrig's disease. He's usually moved around while someone else pushes his wheelchair. Quote, he cannot move his arms. They're useless to him. End quote. He's been hospitalized while in protective custody since his arrest in August. There's stupid. And then there's New Jersey's brand of bonus stupid.
Go ahead, man, John.
I feel
You're probably thinking the
much
same thing.
safer knowing that New Jersey has such strict anti-gun laws.
Yeah, I wrote this up. The guy was injured in a car accident, basically can't move. I don't know which one of his friends is letting him, hang out for this. But at some point, can a prosecutor please pull his head out of his ass?
Yeah. Yeah, in his current condition, there's no way the guy should have been charged. Something didn't sound right to me when I read the summation of this. Now, I don't expect everybody to know the full details on the case, but was the reason he can't use his arms because he was in that accident and not the Lou Gehrig's? Because what I'm thinking, the way it was written is he wasn't driving. Well, of course somebody that's not can't use their arms is not going to drive. I mean, you can lose your legs and still get an adaptive car where you can control with just your arms, but there's no steering mechanism I know of that you can use your feet for.
There may be one, but the reason this guy, yes, he was able to use his arms before he was in that car accident. They're struggling with the issues going, is there either other neurological damage that's at play here as well? They don't know.
Okay, but I agree with both of you. To charge somebody with weapons possession that cannot use their arms is totally asinine.
And before some listeners sends us in pictures of somebody shooting with their feet, the guy's in a wheelchair. He can barely stand. Gotcha.
Yeah. And when Susan and I talked about this, we seen the news story quite a while ago. I think like Thursday maybe or Friday.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
But
long ago. That's
Quite a while ago.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least a couple
4 days.
exactly. Believe me, with what's been going on, trying to get that book recorded and trying to get other things done around the
Seems
house.
like an eon.
I know. But when we first talked about this, I said, I know this guy on Facebook who lives in Iowa, who is a Paralympic bow marksman. He bow and arrow. He doesn't have any arms at all. And so, I mean, things can be done, but yeah, you've got to have. I mean, if he's in a wheelchair, if he can't make the wheelchair work. If he can't stand, no. I mean, come on, there's just no way. Well, I guess we're paying his bills. I mean, we're paying his medical bills if he's in jail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they were so worried about his health, he's actually in a hospital, and we're paying to keep him there. Lord.
Wow.
I guess it's better than Obamacare.
Actually, probably pretty similar, actually.
Yeah.
We like to think that we dig a little deeper to bring you accurate and important news. Unfortunately, we live in an age of headline surfing. That means lots of people make decisions based on first impressions. That's why the anti-gun groups chose their names. The Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, the Violence Policy Center, the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence. Note that none of these organizations actually advocate for enforcement of the 23,000 existing firearms laws. None of them offer or promote firearms safety classes that would stop accidents. They simply advocate another restrictions on firearms owner, over and over and over again. Their names are lies, and so are their press releases. They wildly inflate the number of school shootings and victims because they need the emotional outrage in order to pass another gun law. In an amazing and accidental flash of honesty, these anti-gun groups will admit that their new laws will do nothing to stop the tragedies they used to pass the next anti-gun law. They never call it gun control. They carefully call it universal registration. That's their focus of group-tested marketing phrase.
Yeah, universal registration, universal background checks is another one I hear a lot. They just think that they shouldn't everybody go through background checks. Well, no, actually.
Now the one that gets me is now they're calling gun control gun safety organizations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
And that's what my company is. I teach gun safety, and I'm blocked from advertising on Facebook and Twitter. So
Yeah.
their gun safety is okay. Mine is not. Go figure.
Well, they call themselves a campaign or a center or a coalition. I'm sorry, they're a bunch of rich guys doing it for money paid by wealthy donors. They're AstroTurf.
Yeah, where do we get our $50 million contributors?
A million of us each donating $50.
There you go.
Yeah. We don't have a pro-gun Joyce Foundation.
Yeah, hey, you pro-liberty billionaires, stand up, pay up, dudes. You're due.
Maybe those evil Koch brothers could lend us a few bucks.
Coke.
Coke.
Koch brothers, yeah.
Get it right.
It depends on where you're from.
Koch is was the former mayor of New York.
That's right.
Okay. East Coasters, my gosh.
All right. Well, that does it for this first segment of news. We're going to have more to come, and we'll get to it right after this. Okay, who wants to bring us into the next one?
I'll be glad to do it.
Okay. And we are rolling.
Welcome back to the second part of the news segment of the Polite Society podcast, sponsored by the Firearms Policy Coalition. Susan, what do we have up next?
Recent public polls have shown the steady increase in support for firearms ownership. Part of that is driven by mass media and the distortions it creates. The media distorts reality when 1 in a million people are hurt by a riot, but the riot receives weeks of coverage. Perhaps that's one reason we see increased support for firearms ownership. Another is our increasing distrust of government institutions. In any case, there's been some pushback from the mainstream media to discredit the poll results. Now that the anti-gun media doesn't like the answers, they're saying we should ask different questions to give them the anti-gun answers they prefer. Here's something they won't tell you. Pew has been asking the same question for the last 21 years. The people in favor of gun control fell from a peak of 66% to the current low of 46%.
Try and spin that one, Mr. Bloomberg.
Oh, you can be sure he will.
Yeah, how many people did he pay to spin it for him?
Well, and they will come out with their own specially worded, and this is nothing new.
No.
They'll come out with specially worded, polls. A matter of fact, I had a poll. They called me. What was it? Yesterday, they called me on the phone and asked me about Obamacare. And I wish I would have recorded it. It would have been actually fairly easy for me to do so. I would have had to just, because I was set up to record the audiobook at home. All I would have had to do is stick the thing on speakerphone and stick it under the microphone. If I'd have thought of it, I would. But it was the questions were extremely tilted so that they wanted a positive towards Obamacare response, and of course I wasn't really giving them what they wanted.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got one of those back during the spring, and it's like, oh, I'm very anti-gun control. Oh, I'm an extremely liberal Democrat. Yeah, right. Let me skew your poll results.
Another anti-gun group was formed in the strangest way. Bloomberg's Mayors Against Illegal Guns has mostly been discredited. It is now derided as Bloomberg's Illegal Mayors Against Guns because so many of its members have been arrested. Last week, a handful of state legislators from across the country gathered at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. to announce the creation of American State Legislators for Gun Violence Prevention. The group claims to be nonpartisan, but they will push new gun restrictions at the state level. Fine, it's simply another Bloomberg-funded anti-gun group, but the coalition has one huge problem. They won't tell anyone who's a member. They say they have members from all 50 states, but the group will not release its membership list. It's unethical for a secretive group to use government money and attack our constitutional rights.
You know, I really, really wish. They say they have members in all 50 states. I would love for them to let people know who their South Dakota member is, because I can guarantee you they would, if they stood for election again when their term is up, they wouldn't stand much of a chance.
Yeah. So far, I've been able to identify one Democrat coming from St. Louis who supposedly has a friend that's a Republican legislator in the Kansas City, Kansas area, plus the guy who started it.
This is just a way for a bunch of Bloomberg sock puppets to stand in front of the media and say, we're really big, just don't look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And is the media going to go look and say, 3 guys told us?
You know, what somebody had suggested is you call up your legislator, especially if he's pretty much anti-gun, and ask him if he's a member.
And then just keep posting the results. And
just keep posting the results.
That would be it.
That's a great idea.
Put them on the spot. Are you a member or are you not? Are you now or have you ever been a member of...
For those of you who are less than 30 years old. That was a phrase used to interrogate citizens in testimony before Congress to ask them if they were a member of the Communist Party in the 1950s.
It was called the
Yeah.
House Un-American Activities Committee.
Yeah.
Here's more crazy propaganda from an anti-gun filmmaker. In a short YouTube video, a boy steals an unholstered and presumably loaded firearm from his mother's room. Then he drops it unsecured into his book bag. Next, he takes the book bag to school. After class, the boy pulls the pistol out of his book bag and puts it on his startled teacher's desk, saying, "Can you take this away? I don't feel safe with a gun in my house." This is a fantasy video by director Regina Sinsick. She advocates that teens commit multiple felonies. Several of these crimes could get children killed. All of this because of the hoplophobe's irrational fear of our firearms. In the real world, the student would be charged with felony weapons theft, unlawful possession of a weapon by a minor, illegal concealed carry of a weapon, carrying a weapon onto school property, assault, and brandishing a firearm. He would face expulsion from school, and he would be jailed. This is the fantasy behavior that the filmmaker hopes children will emulate.
You know, in South Dakota, if that were to ever happen, whoever this filmmaker was, I think we could make a reasonable case for them to be contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Because
Interesting.
they told him to do it. If this ever happens, I think there's a case.
Or conspiracy, even.
Yeah, certainly.
You know, the only, and that's not how they describe it. The only case this scenario makes the wildest sense, I've seen people who suffered terribly from depression and mental illness. And literally what they're saying is, it's not about the gun, it's about me. Commit me because I'm out of control.
Did anyone actually see the video?
Yeah.
Did you watch the video?
Paul
Yeah,
watched it.
Click the link, man.
Yeah, I watched it. It's
I was going to say, is the link in the show notes or anything?
It is.
Yep.
It is. And you know what it reminded me of when I seen it, and this has been a long, and I mean this, it's been a long time ago. I was a teenager when this came out.
That was a long time ago.
I'm telling you. You know, we had just crossed the Mississippi and we're starting to settle. No, Michael J. Fox was in a anti-gun TV movie about a mom who was scared. Apparently, there had been some. What I remember of it was that mom borrowed a gun, and Michael J. Fox, as a teenage kid, comes home, bursts into the mom's room. "Hey, Mom, I'm home," and Mom plugs him because she thinks he's a burglar, and oh my God, what a tragedy! I shouldn't have had the gun. That's what this video reminded me of. It's totally, completely fantasy land. I mean, nothing about reality is anywhere around this.
Yep. Which reminded me of the anti-gun lawyer I spoke to the other day. He goes, "We're concerned that," and I'm going, what are you drinking when you make up these fantasies?
Will he come on the show?
I don't know. I didn't ask him. I doubt it.
Okay.
Oh, I have asked several other side of the issue folks that I deal with on a regular basis. And none of them are interested in actually going one-on-one.
Well, and you know, I even when I first started the show, I thought it would be fun to debate, and thought it would be, because I mean, I drive 11 hours a day. I think a lot, and I think about our topics a lot. But I thought it would be really cool to debate somebody, and so I looked, and nobody would, and I thought, well, you know, there's got to be an anti-gun podcast. Maybe they'd be. There aren't any. I have never found if there is one, somebody, and I'm sure we've got enough listeners, if there's one out there, somebody's going to let me know. Let me know. I'll offer to be a guest on their show if they'll return the favor.
Interesting.
There's not a specific anti-gun podcast. I've heard anti-gun rants on podcasts, but not that they were
Not a
specifically
specific anti.
that.
Yeah.
This story is actually about the media too, but you have to listen all the way to the end. To start, it won't surprise you that another gun from the Fast and Furious scandal turned up at a crime scene in the U.S. That is what we'd expect with thousands of guns sold to criminal gangs. It won't surprise you that the Department of Justice hid that fact. It won't surprise you that it took an investigative reporting organization like Judicial Watch to file a Freedom of Information request to get the crime scene evidence and to match the firearms serial numbers. The U.S. Justice Department is not about to come forward and say, "Yep, those gang hits last year were committed with a crime we deliberately sold to criminals. One of 40 guns we let walk in a single day."
Disgusting. Disgusting. What? I don't know. Blood pressure. I mean, it just.
This particular gun was a semi-auto style AK. 2 rival gang members were shot in Phoenix, Arizona, where the gun was recovered. What might surprise you is the silence from the media. The story was covered by the Daily Mail in Britain and by Breitbart News in the U.S.
Well, at least we got 2 media outlets. Well, 3 with us that are bringing it to light.
But we have to go overseas for one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the local stations weren't covering that, huh? Wow.
I don't. It actually becomes DC-based news because Judicial Watch had to go, pry the data out.
We've covered the bizarre prosecution of military veterans in the District of Columbia for having so much as a single empty shell casing. Oh, the horror. Contrast that with how NBC News announcer David Gregory was treated after he waved an illegal 30-round magazine around on air from his DC studio. Unlike the spent shell casing, the illegal ammunition magazine was fully functional. That same action would put you or I in jail. Well, it's good to be part of the mainstream media if you're going to break DC gun laws. Fortunately, legal investigations leave a broad trail of documents. The conservative legal blog, Legal Insurrection, by Cornell professor William Jacobson, wanted to see those investigatory documents. With the help of Judicial Watch, they filed a Freedom of Information request to see them. DC refused to hand them over until a judge ordered them to do so. Professor Jacobson has reviewed some of the documents. NBC News was warned by the DC Metropolitan Police Department the possession of the magazine was illegal and advised to use a photo of the magazine, not the real thing in the DC studios. DC Attorney General Irvin Nathan noted the clear violation of the law and decided not to prosecute Gregory or anyone else at NBC News for the violation. DC prosecutes poor people who do not have the financial means to mount a strong legal defense, but they ignore firearms violations by major news organizations. President Ulysses S. Grant said, quote, "I know no method to secure the repeal of bad or obnoxious laws so effective as their stringent execution," end quote. That's because everyone would soon see the law's injustice. In contrast, the best way to sustain an obscene law is to enforce it selectively against the defenseless. That intimidates the honest citizens and satisfies the politically powerful.
Now, one question I have, and I don't know where to go for this, but has anybody, and I don't mean just David Gregory, I mean anybody, been prosecuted for a 30-round magazine in DC?
Unaware.
I don't know.
For ammunition, but I don't know about a magazine violation.
Because if I would say if somebody has been prosecuted for the 30-round magazine, then there's a prosecutor that has some splaining to do, Lucy. But if it's actually a case where actually, you know what, it's illegal, but we've never prosecuted anybody for it, I don't want to sound like I'm on the wrong side of the fence here, but if they've never prosecuted anybody, it would be a little hypocritical to make him the first.
Well, wait a minute, but they asked the police. They said, "We know it's illegal, but we want to wave one around on our show. Could we do it?" And the police said, "No, it's illegal. Don't do it.
Okay.
Use a picture."
I got data.
And then they still didn't arrest him. So go ahead, Rob.
In 2012, the police arrested 105 people for charges that included, but there may have been additional charges as well, possession of a magazine that can hold more than 10 rounds.
Wow. Well, then, yeah.
Now, 15 of those included, quote, high-capacity feeding devices or extended clips.
Then yeah, then the prosecutor has some splaining to do. Absolutely, because David, what's the stat? I wonder what the statute of limitations is, because it's been what, a year ago that he did this, just about.
Oh, more than that, almost 2.
Okay, well, statute of limitations on most stuff is, somewhere between 3 to 5 years. So, snap, come on, you work for us.
It doesn't matter. He is on the side of the anti-gun politicians, so they're not going to push for his arrest. Hey, we know he was doing a bunch of illegal stuff, but he's on our side, so we're not going to press for his arrest and charges for doing things illegal.
Gary, I don't know that that's the only reason. If it were somebody from Fox News, I still think they wouldn't do it.
Really?
Because they don't want to look that stupid in public. They'll charge, some corporal who brings a Glock 15 magazine through the district, because who does he have on his side? Nobody. He probably has to cop a plea and hopefully he can bargain it down to a misdemeanor. Some of these guys have positions in the military or perhaps the civilian intelligence community where they have to fight every charge because they can't let that stand on their record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead. We're going to take one more break here. We still got more news to come, and we'll get to that news right after this.
Oh, the horror. More news.
Huh. Wow.
What?
All right, we got...
What's up, Gary? What you think?
Well, I just the one-sided activity, Paul was right. We didn't know if anybody else had ever been charged, and that's a valid point. And it took you 30 seconds.
Well, I'd covered some of the cases before. I just wanted to double check. Yeah.
Yeah, but 120 cases. It's
105. Yeah.
Or okay, 105, whatever you said. But I mean, it's just gross.
No.
But you're right. They don't pick on Emily Miller. But I'm sure she's.
Well, she obeys the law pretty carefully.
That's right. I'm sure she's triple checking everything to make sure she is obeying the law. But
Rob, do you want to bring us in for the next one? John brought us in last time.
Sure.
And we are rolling.
Welcome back to the next news segment of the Fire... Who am I? Welcome back to the next news segment of the Polite Society podcast powered by the Firearms Policy Coalition. Take it away, Susan.
A federal statute allows retired law enforcement officers to carry anywhere in the United States. The idea behind that law is that a policeman or a corrections officer has made a lifetime of enemies. Unfortunately, these officers need department approval to apply for the federal carry permit. That is what happened to Robert Smith. He retired from the D.C. jail 6 years ago. He can have a gun in his home, thanks to the Heller ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, but the district denies him a federal permit that would be recognized if Mr. Smith went to Maryland or Virginia. Mr. Smith and 3 other retired corrections employees have sued the district and opened the debate repeated across the country. It is not clear if the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Safety Act applies to jail staff and parole officers. Smith has also applied for a concealed carry permit under a new set of regulations approved by the D.C. Council, but it's unclear whether he'll qualify under the strict rules that require a person to show a specific documented need by police reports.
You know,
Wow.
he was paid by the district for years and years, and now he's being ignored by them. I wonder what his union has been doing all this time. So part of me is sympathetic for him, and part of me is absolutely not.
I would imagine, now, unless there's a specific police union that only deals with police, I would imagine his union is probably AFSCME, the American Federation of State and Municipal Employees.
Ah.
And they are somewhere to the left of Fidel Castro. So I don't imagine they're going to be jumping all over getting him his gun rights.
Well, Mr. Smith, this is how the rest of us feel.
And I really do feel for the guy.
I mean, can you imagine a guy who worked in a jail not having specific threats against him, like, I'm going to get you, Smith, when I get out of here, or my brother's going to kill you one of these days, even though I'm here for the rest of my life?
Did he file a police report for each one of those?
Regardless of whether he did or not, I mean, eventually, one way or another, everybody gets out. You know,
Well,
unless they're alive. And this guy didn't sound like he was a D.C. jail. It wasn't a federal prison. So these are people that don't spend a lifetime in jail.
Mm-hmm.
They will, you know, they usually spend up to a year. Other than that, you go to prison generally. So yeah, they're gonna make their way back out. This guy needs a permit, and it's a travesty he doesn't have one.
Yeah, I remember a case many years ago where some judges in New Jersey were applying for concealed carry permits because they do have a permitting system, very limited. But they were upset because they were denied after they had spent their life putting criminals in jail. So
I actually like that.
How?
If they're the same people that were denying the permits for the residents, yeah, I'm all for that too. If
They're
you're
judges.
denying,
They're not denying anything. They're not legislators.
No.
No.
In New Jersey, your permit has to be approved by a judge.
judge.
Okay, well, I don't know that detail, whether they were or weren't, but fair enough. Right, if they were, you're right.
The gun control paradise of California has an A rating by the Brady campaign. That severely limits how honest civilians buy and sell firearms. Less so the police. A Northern California police commander pleaded guilty in federal court to possessing stolen firearms.
Oops.
Commander John Nunt of the Pacific Grove Police Department admitting to stealing rifles, shotguns, and semi-automatic pistols from the Monterey Peninsula College Police Academy when it closed. Nunt was an instructor at the academy and accepted the guns as a donation on behalf of his department. He accepted the donation knowing that the Pacific Grove Police Department did not want the firearms and probably could not sell them. Commander Nunt sold most of the arms through a licensed firearms dealer and sold 5 of them through person-to-person sales. He also operated as a private investigator and used the police department's investigative software for his personal business. Nunt pleaded guilty to extortion and wire fraud.
You know, we said at the beginning of the podcast, at the beginning of the news segment, the first one, that we are a pro-gun podcast, a pro-police podcast, and we are. However, we are also pro-police acting correctly, and this guy stepped way over the bounds.
I remember we went through Pacific Grove after the 2010 Gun Rights Policy Conference, and it's a very pretty place, and it joins Pebble Beach. I didn't know there could be gun crime there.
Wow.
Go over the hill. Yeah. Go from Monterey to Salinas.
Yeah,
Get it? Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We did.
You know.
We know. Yeah. We went over the hill into Watsonville. We know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, California has an A rating by the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence. You must feel very safe there, Rob.
I do, and I know that all the policemen just live to help us and keep us safe.
Oh, my.
A student in upstate New York has won the right to have a photo of her posing with a rifle included as her senior portrait in the yearbook. Rebecca Rorick selected a picture that showed her posing while out hunting with her dog and with a rifle in her left hand. They showed the school board a 2012 yearbook photo, which showed another high school senior holding a rifle beside a deer. The school board has a policy against weapons, but Superintendent Stephen Tomlinson said he didn't have an issue with this particular photo. Quote, "She is not holding the gun in a malicious manner. She is not pointing it anywhere. It's, to me, in my opinion, a nice photograph of a young lady in the Adirondack region that enjoys hunting." Close quote. The board sided with Rorick and her father, and so the portrait will now appear in the yearbook.
Anybody care if I rant?
Go ahead.
Okay. Why was this ever a question? More of my high school friends were killed or injured and on cars and on motorcycles than any were injured with firearms. Despite that, we were allowed to bring cars on campus. We were taught auto repair on campus. My high school friends died swimming, but we had a high school swimming pool. We even had a swim team. More people were injured playing high school football or even cheerleading than are injured by high school target shooting teams. The reason we outlawed one and not the other is simply bigotry. I'm embarrassed that the question came up.
I am in total agreement.
Okay, you rant next time.
Okay.
David Leonjaume is an Australian senator. Is that how that's pronounced?
Leonhelm.
Okay, Leonhelm is an Australian senator. He said Australia has been turned into a nation of victims by gun control laws. This week's Sydney cafe siege would have been less likely to happen if the gunman thought his hostages might be carrying concealed weapons. Quote, "That nutcase who held them all hostage wouldn't have known that they were armed, and bad guys don't like to be shot back at. We are all disarmed victims." Close quote. And that's unacceptable. Cafe hostages Tori Johnson and Katrina Dawson shot by the Muslim terrorists moments before police stormed the shop and killed the gunman. It would have been illegal for the two hostages to have a knife, a stick, pepper spray, a personal taser, mace, anything like that for self-defense. To turn an entire population into a nation of victims is just unforgivable.
Okay, Paul, I ranted last time. You have to rant this time.
Okay. You know, I'm in agreement with the senator here. I'm not going to attempt that name, but it's going to be in Australia. What's going to happen here is they're going to try to push more regulations and more regulations, but you know, I seen a YouTube video, and it was the virtual president of the United States giving back a couple years ago, giving a State of the Union speech about gun control.
Bill Whittle.
Yeah.
Yes, Bill Whittle. And one thing, I was just happened to be running it and in the background as I was doing something else, and one thing that jumped right out at me out of that video was him saying, "It's already illegal to kill It's already illegal to rob. It's already illegal to do all these things. They are part of the human condition. Nothing, no laws you pass will stop them from happening. You can only punish the action. You cannot prevent it. And so, again, going back to, there's no way you're going to stop people from trying to do this, so how about we stop the effectiveness of it?
Yeah.
It's time for all of us to be able to be armed, and that includes, and I want to tie this into one other area here. Just squirrel. I want to tie this into one other area. A long time back, several months ago, I want to say it was early summer, maybe even last spring, we got an email, actually a voicemail, from a listener who was really tired of the British lady we had saying in Armed Society is Polite Society. And was basically, and I basically told them, go listen to somebody else, because gun rights aren't American rights, they're human rights. And it's time for Australia to get human rights. The right of self-defense is a human right.
Well, this was on, because of the time difference, this was on in the middle of the night here, and I was watching the coverage when this was going on. And forgive me, but I get very emotional about this, but my initial, remembrance was of the Luby's Cafe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, the guy didn't drive a truck through the front, but it was someone who was looking to do harm to a bunch of people. And I just can't. They talk about it, and I can't imagine anyone would not want every single opportunity to protect their loved ones from someone looking to do them harm. And to give up those rights, it is just beyond me. And hopefully, maybe someone will emerge. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but the woman who lost her parents at Luby's became a
Susanna Hupp.
Susanna Hupp.
Yeah, became a politician and spoke out for change, and not just in Texas but nationally. And maybe someone who was there will take and speak out for change for the people there who also deserve the right to protect themselves and their loved ones.
Eric Dietz is a PhD and also the former director of Homeland Security for the state of Indiana. He is now a professor at Purdue University, and he wanted to find out if armed citizens could prevent deaths and mass public shootings. He researched the last 60 years of mass shootings and discovered that only 2 of them occurred where guns can be carried legally. That blows apart the anti-gun argument, claiming more guns means more mass shootings. Gun ownership has increased by 61% in the last 8 years, but violent crimes has decreased by 13%. He examined several scenarios and determined that the most crucial aspect is time. The more time a shooter has, the more people will die.
We brought that up before. I wasn't aware that. I had thought the only one that occurred in a where guns were allowed was Gabby Giffords. That's the only one that I can remember that was in an area where guns were allowed. Apparently, he found one more, but still, we're talking about 2 cases out of the last 60 years. That's pretty starkly clear that gun-free zones kill.
They are severely broken.
Yeah.
Families of some of the victims of the Newtown massacre filed suit against firearms manufacturer Bushmaster and others in the retail supply chain whom they could blame for the murders at Sandy Hook. One of the allegations in the lawsuit claims that the Bushmaster AR-15 rifle used in the attack should not have been available to the public because it was designed for military use. Here's a newsflash for you. Nearly every firearm ever originated as a military arm. Don't believe me? Let's look at some examples. Behold, the American flintlock long rifle. The first lever-action rifle to enjoy much success was the Henry rifle, introduced in 1860 and used by some Union Army units during the Civil War. Care to guess how the Colt single-action Army revolver got its name? If you said, because it was a pistol used by the Army, go to the head of the class. One of the most well-known military pistols, and a personal favorite is mine, is the famous M1911 pistol, adopted by the U.S. Army as its standard service pistol in, you guessed it, 1911. Even the round it fired, the .45 ACP, was designed specifically for military use. They say that the AR-15 was originally made for the military, and I suppose that is true. The 1950s technology of the AR-15 eventually morphed into the M16 rifle, which began being issued to the U.S. military in 1962. Today, I couldn't name all the companies making a variant of the AR-15. It is the single most popular rifle sold in America today.
The .308 cartridge was originally designed to be used in military weapons.
Mm-hmm.
The .30-06, same thing.
Virtually any bolt-action rifle is based upon the German Mauser or the British Enfield, mostly the Mauser. Every deer rifle, I mean, the U.S. even had to pay Mauser for our 1903 Springfield because we kind of stole the design a little bit.
I'm trying to think of I can think of one off the top of my head, one firearm that wasn't designed from the start to be part of directly from the military. And even this, if you draw enough lines, you're going to get there. But the Taurus Judge.
I was going to go with what are the 5 most dangerous gun in America? Remember the 5th one? Derringers.
I was going to go with the Baby Browning 25 ACP, but
yeah, all right, same.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think anybody. I don't know of any militaries that carry a 25 Jennings. So
the French.
The French actually do make some decent firearms.
Yeah, like the Lewis gun.
Pardon me?
Like the Lewis gun? Not.
I don't think the Lewis was French. I thought it was and I can't pronounce it. The Chata whatever. But the Moss is a good solid bolt action, and the Moss 49 is actually a very good semi-auto rifle.
You're right, John. I'm confused. There you go.
No, but there was a French machine gun that was a piece of crap.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned. Paul, does Susan have to sleep on the couch because she's come out of the closet as a 1911 fan?
I don't know who wrote that script.
I put it in there just to trip you up. I was hoping you were going to read that part, Paul. Rub your nose in it.
Don't tell him. You'll never know.
Susan, who chose the gun that you carry?
You did.
I don't think so.
So I've got a Glock right now. I'm secretly a 1911 fangirl. And one can never have too many guns, so guess what I'm buying next?
There you go. There you go.
And get it in 38 Super. I really do like that round.
Good luck finding it. All right, let's move on to gun quotes.
The limitation of tyrants is the endurance of those they oppose. Frederick Douglass.
All right, that does it for our news segments, everybody. We got DGUs coming up right after this.
Hey, I thought I handled that pretty good. I was reading along and went, wait a minute. Didn't skip a beat.
By the way, great. I stole this from my buddy Dave Cole.
Okay. I was thinking to myself, what was the Anchorman?
Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, I was
Right,
thinking Ron
right.
Burgundy when you were going through that.
That was lovely.
All right.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys,
this is
thanks for trying to get me in trouble here.
And the DGUs, go to a Christmas party, get so hammered that you get your girlfriend leaves you behind, then you call her, she gets you, you attack her, she shoots you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okie dokie.
Now we do have. Yeah. Okay. It is
I
in
bet
here.
that won't happen again. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Now I just wanted to make sure that DGU about the clerk that's been in the second gunfight was in there. And it
Yeah,
is.
that's
Yep.
Jason
They're,
Matthews.
they're, I was mashing 3 different DGUs together to get confused.
Okay.
Back to
this is-
1911 talk. Oh,
Where? What? Hold on.
Who likes 1911s?
You know, the
Dude,
next time
I think
want
the
a
Swiss
100-year-old
1911
gun-
is really good.
The Swiss 1911.
It has a 30-inch barrel.
Holy smokes! All right.
Yeah.
I kinda like the French 1911 myself.
All right. Here we
Let
go.
somebody bring us back from this.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
All
Here we
right.
go. DGUs. Hi, and welcome back to the. Yeah, let me start
Yeah,
again. Hi, and welcome back to the Polite Society podcast, powered by the Firearms Policy Coalition. This is our DGU segment. Susan, you want to fire off with the first one?
I sure can.
What a
Karen
bad.
Collins and her current
Fire off.
boyfriend, Robert Estevez, attended a Christmas party last Saturday and then returned to Estevez's home in River Ridge, Louisiana. Around 4 a.m. Saturday, they were awakened by Miss Collins' ex-boyfriend, Bobby Edler. He ordered them out of bed at gunpoint and then forced Collins towards the front door. Estevez was able to retrieve his shotgun and fired at Edler from the second-floor balcony. This gave Ms. Collins a chance to escape, and she ran to a neighbor's home to call 911. When police arrived, they found Edler dead and Estevez wounded in the arm. No charges have been brought against Mr. Estevez, as it appears he acted in self-defense.
You know, we have to, it's a good DGU. It's kind of sad that ex-boyfriends, domestic disputes.
Yeah.
I think we covered a DGU like this before,
Mm-hmm.
and our usual complaint is, why weren't you armed? Well, at 4 a.m., yeah, if you've got a shotgun in the bedroom, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I can't claim I could ever do any better.
And I don't know how this guy got in. None of the
Good point.
news reports, and I looked at a number of them, said how he got into her boyfriend's or current boyfriend's house. And it was I looked at the house.
Oh,
Nice
it-
house.
It was her boyfriend's house, not her house. I thought, ex-boyfriend, he could have made a spare key.
No.
But,
Oh.
Unless something's
Well, it was
really
his current
strange
boyfriend's
and
house. Hey, no, we're not going down that road. Friday evening, DeAndre Twyman, 22, and another man invaded a home in Indianapolis. This proved fatal for Twyman, as the homeowner was armed. Twyman was shot in the stomach and later died at Community East Hospital. The homeowner and his fiancée were unharmed in the attack. The other suspect is still on the loose, but is reported to be known to the police. No charges are pending against the homeowner.
One thing that I think we've talked about a number of these DGUs is how young so many of the home invaders are. And their lives are snuffed out because of their utter stupidity. And they're thinking that, I'll just break in, get what I want, and they go home dead.
yeah.
mean, we've seen 15-year-olds. But it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Well, if you take, I mean, breaking into a house is, I don't care your age, breaking into a house is an adult action, and it's an adult crime. And if you do an adult crime, I don't care if you're 6. If you break into a house and you point a gun at somebody, you're going to wind up dead.
Mm-hmm.
You made an adult decision, and you're going to have to deal with adult consequences. Life sucks sometimes. Maybe your parents should have raised you better.
Grayson Matthews, a store clerk in Hamilton, Ohio, has been robbed twice in the last 3 years at gunpoint while working at his brother's store. Fortunately, both times he was armed and was able to defend himself. The first time, the robber aimed what Matthews took for a shotgun at him while he demanded more money. Matthews was able to get to his .38 revolver and shot the robber in the shoulder. Now, on Saturday night, 2 suspects entered the store and attempted to rob it. Gunfire ensued, and one of the robbers later turned up at the hospital with a gunshot wound to his head. Matthews was shot in the arm and was taken to the University of Cincinnati Hospital for treatment. Detectives are still investigating the incident.
This store has been robbed actually more than just these 2 times. There have also been knife attacks on the other owners of the store. An 81-year-old man had a knife put to him. I'm glad he was able to defend himself. But I probably would have been carrying it rather than keeping it underneath the till. The second story doesn't say what he used, though.
Yeah.
You know, I have to amplify what Paul said. You rob someone at gunpoint. No one should cry for you if you get killed. I'm sorry. You are playing Russian roulette, and it's loaded.
You're playing Russian roulette with a semi-auto.
Yeah.
We post each of our news and defensive gun use articles at PoliteSocietyPodcast.com. Please take a minute, share them with a friend, and we'll be back right after this. You all right, darling? Okay.
When you said you were going to amplify what Paul said, I thought you were going to start choking. Wow, Susan, you kept a straight face. Your old man's dying, and you just trucked on through it, didn't you?
I knew he wasn't dying. He was up and moving around. He may not have been able to breathe, but he wasn't dying yet.
He wasn't turning blue.
No, he wasn't. Not yet. A little purple around the lips, but he still was up and moving, so I knew he was okay.
Yeah, I know how it is. I like Mountain Dew too, and I've tried to breathe it. It doesn't work.
You all right, my love? Okay. As he's wiping everything off the computer and the keyboard and the table, the floor.
That will really clean out your sinuses.
Yes, it will.
Before you start, I just got an email from John Adine.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to throw it in here at the bottom.
Cool.
Scott, are we up to the date on Bleeding Edge medicine or Bleeding Edge email to the show?
Keyboard needed a good cleaning.
Oh, okay. Well, it certainly got its cleaning for this year.
There you go.
Okay. Are you ready to bring us back in now? Okay.
Yeah, let him catch up.
Breathing's way overrated.
Exactly. He's I told you, he's fine. He's not even blue around the lips yet. You could be that, you know. Keep it up, Lathrop. Keep it up. Dude, you got it on my phone, clear on the side of the table.
I I'm not going to talk about it on the show, but everybody wish me luck. I got to drive through St. Louis tonight.
Oh,
Good luck.
What what road are you going on?
For security reasons, I can't even put that on YouTube. 55 down to the one that goes around the South Beltway, around south of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
The 44.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, take the Beltway and get off. Call me later. We'll talk.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna
All
go.
right.
I was gonna go before Ferguson. I was gonna go 270 because there was a gun store that I wanted to stop at, 2 towns over from Ferguson, up on the north end there. But obviously that's not happening.
Okay.
I was gonna stay in St. Louis because it gets me started that way, and
I'd do 30 minutes outside of at least, dude.
I'm going straight through.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready?
Ready.
Hey, and welcome back to the email section of the program. We got, first thing we're going to do, we got a voicemail, which was super cool. Greg in Bremerton sent us in a voicemail. I'm going to go ahead and run that right now.
Well, Paul, this is Greg. And if I'd known about your wanting to get a dash cam, I would have recommended video-cam.com rather than one you pick up in a truck stop, because he stands behind his products. I've had mine for a couple, 3 years now and stuff, and haven't had any problems with it. He sells ones from single camera systems all the way up to 4 camera systems, and they're all trucker tested, so they're not going to be failing on you. And if you do have a problem with it, he'll go and ship it out to whatever address you give him, be it truck stop that you're going to be at or your terminal or whatever. Yep, I've got I think we paid $150 for this one. It seamless loops and stuff from one segment to the next and stuff. There's no hesitation between 2-minute segments. I know some of them you can go and set up for run 5-minute and 15-minute segments, but the one we currently have only does 2-minute segments. But it's good enough. It worked out well coming across upstate New York the other day. I had a USA truck pass me as I was taking off from a red light. There was no oncoming traffic. He went across a double yellow line, across a hashed area and stuff, and finally got back in front of me just as the passing zone started. And I pretty much kept him in sight and caught up. We ended up having to go and pull into one of the rest areas because New York had one of their ambush sites set up there. And so I went and parked and popped the SD card out of the camera, stuck it in the laptop, uploaded the video to the laptop, and then wandered over to the officer and asked him if he had a minute, and he told me to go talk to one of the other troopers. Showed the other trooper the video, and he asked me if I had a truck number or license plate number. I said no, but there's the truck sitting right there, and he's going, okay, well, go take it back over to the other officer. So I went over there, and he was kind of short with me and stuff, and wanted to know what the heck I wanted, and I showed him the video, and he's going, okay, you got a truck number? I said, no, but you're DOTing him right now, and he's going, play that back for me again. I did, and he goes, okay, alrighty, I'll take care of it. So, yeah, don't drive like a I'll keep it clean idiot, and you won't get busted. All right. Well, have a good one. Hope that dash cam works out for you. Mine is set up, at least in the big truck, to run 24/7. That way, if a crash and roll graduate takes my hood off, at least I have video proof of what happened. And it's not a he said, she said, or he said type thing. All right. Well, you have a good one. Look forward to the next podcast to come out. Hopefully you'll be able to get this on this evening's show. And I'm trucking across New Mexico right now on my way to Lost Wages with about 40-some thousand pounds of Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia. Nope, they didn't give me any samples. Damn. Okay, have a good one.
All right. Thanks for the voicemail, Greg. And man, you need to truck for Giardelli's. When we do Giardelli's loads, Susan loves it when I do Giardelli's loads. And as far as my dash cam, I did not pick it up at a truck stop. I actually picked it up at Wally World. It was.
Well, I tell you, I went to a site while he was talking, and that's the one one of the cameras right on the main page is the one I bought for Christmas, and it's about half that price on Amazon, and it is the #1 most popular dash cam on the Amazon. So.
Well, I know we had talked about upgrading the one. This one we'll do for now on the truck, and then in a couple months we'll upgrade once we get a little more money saved up, and then the one that's currently in the big truck will go in the pickup.
Right. The one I want that's in the to put in the big truck, it has two. Well, it's got the camera that looks out the windshield, and then it's got two cameras. You can put one in each window that look out the side and backwards. And that's the one I want. And it records in loop. The one I have will work for right now. But yeah, in the future I'd like to upgrade, and I would just like and let me go ahead and go squirrel on us again. I want to encourage everybody to get a dash cam for your personal vehicle. We're going to have the one that is in the big trucks going into the pickup as soon as we upgrade. But even more so, this thought crossed my head, and I'll just put it out for everybody's discussion here. Police, one of the big thing about police is everybody wants police, and I think police should carry body cams. Do you think maybe it might not be a good idea if you carry, and I haven't looked into this myself yet, this just came across my thought process here earlier this week, and I just remembered it just now. What about concealed carriers? Maybe we think about. I don't know how much it is for a body cam for us, but what better evidence would you have if you ever were in an incident than your own camera that was on your body at the time?
Huh? That's a good thought. That's very interesting.
I don't know how much they cost, but I myself spent $600 just on my gun. You know, how much is it worth to keep me out of prison? I don't know, but I'm going to start looking into it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and, because Ken in Arizona sent in an email, and I'm going to go ahead and handle this real quick. He sent in, "Hi, Paul. My friend just outside of Melbourne, the one in Australia, not the one in Florida, sent me this story. I hadn't heard about it, but I thought you'd find it of interest." And Ken in Phoenix, the Free State, he says, "P.S. Martha McSally was declared the winner against Gabby Giffords' proxy in Tucson. Yay! P.P.S. Merry Christmas, all you guys." Well, I want to say, first of all, that is good news that Gabby Giffords' seat went pro-gun. And then he sent in, his friend emailed him about a West Virginia story from 2006. Basically, a guy went against a bunch of police, and when you're aggressive towards police, you're going to get shot. This particular guy got shot 68 times. My take on it is, if you go aggressive against police, especially police in uniform, you're going to get shot, and you're going to get shot until you stop doing what you're not supposed to be doing. If it takes 68 rounds, it takes 68 rounds. That's my take. Because we let that go a long way with Greg's voicemail. I kind of want to keep this short, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. Is in the show notes if you want to go ahead and read the whole thing. So, and then Rob, you got one in here that somebody sent to you, right?
I do. This is from Dr. John in Texas. He says, Rob, did you guys cover the lame duck Senate confirmation of Vivek Murthy as Surgeon General? Please ask people, especially healthcare workers, to go to drgo.us for more info. That's drgo.us. Also, we need physicians and other healthcare workers to get involved with congressmen and senators to monitor, provide oversight of Dr. Murthy's activities. Thanks, from John.
I think that's a pretty darn good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I looked at Murthy's career as a practicing physician. And
that didn't
really,
take you long.
No, it didn't. He had maybe 2 years from the time he left residency till the time he started getting involved. Doctors for Obama. He was a hospitalist. Basically, the doctor.
A hospitalist, if I'm remembering right, a hospitalist is somebody that does not see their own patients. They make rounds in the middle of the night when the main doctors are sleeping.
That's close enough. Hospitalists pretty much take over from the surgeon and your own private doctor to visit you in the hospital and do rounds, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly who I want to be Surgeon General. Not good enough to do his own practice.
He bundled money just fine. Is there anything else he has to do?
Again, squirrel. I'm sorry I'm doing that a lot today. I keep thinking back to the Abraham Lincoln assassination, back when I was just a boy. He was treated by the Surgeon General, and the Surgeon General at the time, just like now, was a political appointment. And best medical practices at the time would have been to do basically almost nothing, but yet the Surgeon General Lincoln probably would have lived for quite a while, possibly could have regained consciousness at some point, but the Surgeon General at the time took a metal rod and was exploring the wound. Basically, the Surgeon General killed President Lincoln. Nothing seems has changed. They don't select the most qualified. They select political appointees. Huh. So that's the end of my squirrel, and I think that does wrap up another episode of the Polite Society podcasts. Guys, I'm not going to rule out being here on Wednesday when we record again. Gary, Rob, John, are you guys going to be here?
I am. I think I will be.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to say I'm going to be there, but I will be here next Sunday. So until then, everybody, stay safe.
Be aware.
And we'll see you down the road.
Merry Christmas.
Very much Merry Christmas. Okay, I really need to remix that because that outro lasts way too long. I do want to say before, I'm going to go ahead and take us off air here in just a second, but I want to, again, before I do mention our advertisers, ABN, of course, Concealment Solutions, Crusader Weaponry, New Jersey Second Amendment Society, Firearms Safety Institute, and the Firearm Policy Coalition. We're going to continue doing these by Google Hangouts on air, even though I'm not going to be at ABN for the next few weeks. But do tune into us, and we'll let you know beforehand the live time. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday. And we're clear on recording and stop.